Wasati Halla, ik hata Hrafnar. With you all health, I am Hrafnar, or Raven, whichever you prefer. This is the next episode with reading from the story of Beowulf. Chapter 3, Grendel the Murderer. When the sun was sunken, he set out to visit the lofty hall building, how the Ring Danes had used it, for beds and benches when the banquet was over. Then he found there reposing many a noble, asleep after supper. Sorrow the heroes, misery knew not. The monster of evil, greedy and cruel, tarried but little. Fell and frantic and forced from their slumbers. 30 of Thane men, thence he departed, leaping and laughing, his lair to return to. With surfeit of slaughter, sallying homeward. In the dusk of the dawning, as the day was just breaking, was Grendel's prowess revealed to the warriors. Then his meal-taking finished, a moan was uplifted, mourning cry mighty. The man-ruler famous, the long-worthy Atheling, sat very woeful, suffered great sorrow, sighed for his liegemen. When they had seen the track of the hateful pursuer, the spirit accursed, too crushing that sorrow, too loathsome and lasting, not longer he tarried, but one night after continued his slaughter. Shameless and shocking, shrinking but little from malice and murder. They mastered him fully. He was easy to find then who otherwhere looked for a pleasanter place of repose in the lodges, a bed in the bowers. Then was brought to his notice, told him truly by token apparent, the hall thane's hatred. He held himself after further and faster, who the foeman did baffle. So ruled he, and strongly strove against justice, lone against all men, till empty uptowered the choicest of houses. Long was the season, 12 winters' time torture suffered, the friend of the Scyldings. Every affliction, endless agony, hence it after became certainly known to the children of men. Sadly in measures that long against Hrothgar Grendel struggled. His grudges he cherished, murderous malice, many a winter. Strife unremitting, and peacefully wished he life woe to lift from no liegeman at all of the men of the Danefolk for money to settle. No counselor needed count for a moment on handsome amends at the hands of the murderer. The monster of evil fiercely did harass the ill-planning death shade, both elder and younger, trapping and tricking them. He trod every night then the mist-covered moor fens. Men do not know where witches and wizards wander and ramble. So the foe of mankind, many of evils, grievous injuries often accomplished, horrible hermit. Heorot he frequented, gem-bedecked palace, when night shades had fallen. Since God did oppose him, not the throne could he touch. Not the throne could he touch. The light-flashing jewel, love of him knew not. 'Twas a fearful affliction to the friend of the Scyldings, soul-crushing sorrow. Not seldom in private sat the king in his council. Conference held they, what the braves should determine against terrors unlooked for. At the shrines of their idols often they promised gifts and offerings. Earnestly prayed they, the devil from hell would help them to lighten their people's oppression. Such practice they used then, hope of the heathen. Hell they remembered. In innermost spirit God they knew not. Judge of their actions, all-wielding ruler, no praise could they give the guardian of heaven, the wielder of glory. Woe will be his, who through furious hatred his spirit shall drive to the clutch of the fire. No comfort shall look for, wax no wiser. Well for the man who, living his life days, his Lord may face and find defense in his Father's embrace. Chapter 4. Beowulf goes to Hrothgar's assistance. Now, before I continue, again, you can disregard the added Christian stuff. It's not original to the myth. That was added in. All that stuff about God and all that. Chapter 4. Beowulf goes to Hrothgar's assistance. So Halfdan's kinsman constantly mused on his long-lasting sorrow. The battle-thane clever was not anywise able evils to escape from, too crushing the sorrow that came to the people, loathsome and lasting the life-grinding torture, greatest of night woes. So Hygelac's liegemen, good and Geatmen, of Grendel's achievements, heard in his home. Of heroes then living, he was stoutest and strongest, sturdy and noble. He bade them prepare him a bark that was trusty. He said he the war king would seek over the ocean, the folk leader noble, since he needed retainers. For the perilous project prudent companions chided him little, though loving him dearly. They egged the brave Atheling, augured him glory. The excellent knight from the folk of the Geatmen had liegemen selected, likest to prove them trustworthy warriors. With 14 companions the vessel he looked for, a liegeman then showed them, a sea-crafty man, the bounds of the country. Fast the days fleeted, the float was a water, the craft by cliff, clomb to the prow, then well-equipped warriors. The wave currents twisted, the sea on the sand, soldiers then carried on the breast of the vessel bright shining jewels, handsome war armor, heroes outshoved then. Warmen the wood ship on its wished for adventure, the foamy-necked floater fanned by the breeze, likest a bird glided the waters, till 24 hours thereafter. The twist-stemmed vessel had traveled such distance that the sailing men saw the sloping embankments, the sea cliffs gleaming, precipitous mountains, nesses enormous. They were nearing the limits at the ends of the ocean. Up thence quickly the men of the waders clomb to the mainland, fastened their vessel, battle weeds rattled, war burnies clattered. The wielder they thanked, that the ways o'er the waters had waxen so gentle. Then well from the cliff edge the guard of the Scyldings, who the sea cliffs should see to, saw o'er the gangway brave ones bearing beauteous targets, armor all ready. Anxiously thought he, musing and wondering what men were approaching. High on his horse, then Hrothgar's retainer turned him to coastward, mightily brandished his lance in his hands. Mightily brandished his lance in his hands. Questioned with boldness, "Who are ye men here, mail-covered warriors, clad in your corslets, come thus a-driving a high-riding ship o'er the shoals of the waters? And hither 'neath helmets have hied over the ocean? I have been strand guard, standing as warden, lest enemies everywhere anywise ravage. lest enemies ever anywise ravage. Danish dominions with army of warships, more boldly never have warriors ventured, hither to come of kinsman approval, of kinsman's approval. Word leave of warriors, I ween that ye surely nothing have known, never a greater one of earls over the earth have I had a sight of, than is one of your number, a hero in armor. No low-ranking fellow adorned with his weapons, but launching them little, unless looks are deceiving, and striking appearance. Ere ye pass on your journey as treacherous spies to the land of the Scyldings, and farther fare I fully must know now. What race ye belong to? Ye faraway dwellers, seafaring sailors, my simple opinion, hear ye and hearken. Haste is most fitting, plainly, to tell me what place ye are come from. So in these two chapters, basically what it described, in these couple of chapters, what it's basically described is that every night Grendel would just keep coming for more and more blood. Grendel would keep coming and eating and slaughtering more and more of Hrothgar's people. And so Hrothgar is just really, really horribly sad because he just can't seem to do anything about this beast. And so then a hero, Beowulf, it's describing Beowulf, sails from his homeland across the seas to come and help Hrothgar. And that's basically what it's telling you. And the next chapter is chapter 5. The Geats reach Heorot. So Beowulf is known as a Scylding or Scylding or a Geat. He's referred to as both, as either one. Well, that's my understanding, anyways. But now you're getting to be introduced to the character of Beowulf. So you're getting sort of like the initial taste or the initial sense of who Beowulf was, and this is your first taste, your first step into the meaning of the Freka warrior, what it means to be a Freka warrior. But this is sort of like the outer shell, this is, you're not quite getting to know him just yet, but more like, what he's famous for. And actually, I think that they organized the story in that way on purpose. The ancients, when they told this tale long ago, they knew that this tale was going to be important in teaching the way of the Freka. And I think that they intended for it to be that as you got to know the meaning of being a Freka by hearing of these examples, that you would start out at the external layer, the superficial stuff surrounding the Freka character, his fame and stuff like that. But then, just like the Freka himself winds up going into a lake and into a cave and delving into the depths of his adventure and his quest, similarly, if you want to really truly get to know the Freka, you have to delve deeper below the surface. And that's exactly what the story does. It takes you on a psychological journey from the superficial into the real. From the unreal to the real. From the darkness to the light. From death to immortality. Look for the next episode. Thank you very much. Masati Hala with you all health. Grow strong and think deep. I love you.